one stacked on top of the other. And I did that, and there it was, dangling. And I stand. Do this,
let's just rip the Band-Aid off right now, okay? Congratulations, Susie, on the game last night. Yes, I know, but you're not all over Facebook with it, like Miss Ryan over here. Congratulations to our friends from Boston on that game last night. There's always next year, right? Unless you're in Unity, because we live in the now, in this now moment. And what we do in this now moment is authentic transformation. So welcome here. That's who we are. That's what we do. I've got a whole bunch of announcements for you this morning. The first one is really important. This Tuesday night, 6 o'clock, you want to be here. All right? It is our Nashville Chooses Peace meeting. We've been having them throughout the year. There will be a musical flourish with that. We've been having them throughout the year, but I'll tell you, this is the time of the year where we really gear up and we need all hands on deck from here on out. April 21st is our Nashville Chooses Peace Festival. This is our third year. Is that correct? Third year? Third year. Right? And it's going to be fantastic, as always. So we need all hands on deck. 6 o'clock this Tuesday night. It's okay if you've never been to one, if you've never been a part of the committee or the volunteer team for Nashville Chooses Peace. This is a great time to start. So we'll see you Tuesday night at 6 o'clock. We've got a workshop coming up next Sunday afternoon with Becky Ashley-Rita, Building Awareness Workshop. It's a 2.5-hour interactive workshop to deepen awareness of yourself. Becky also has another workshop coming up the following Tuesday, January 23rd. I don't know if I haven't seen Becky here yet today, but be sure and contact Becky or look at the back wall, the walls where the bulletin boards are, or pick up a bulletin. This is a fantastic thing to put on your refrigerator because we've got lots of good stuff coming up in January. We've got a mediumship workshop with Susie Wright. We have a Vibration 2018 workshop with Frank Castellano. Those are coming up January 25th and 27th. We'll talk about those more next week, but you'll want to put those on your calendar and you'll find information for those in here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Guess what? I believe it's Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday, but it's other people's as well. Who's got a birthday in January? Stand up if you got a birthday. We want to celebrate you. That you are free, you are unlimited. Let's stand up and sing it to those folks, shall we?
Chains that bind me, I am free, I am unlimited.
more great announcements coming up. Let me tell you, something really awesome is happening here. On January 30th, Lynn Beal, who just happens to put up with that guy over there, Doug Beal, on a daily basis. Lynn Beal and her 11-piece big band is going to be right here in this room playing up a storm so that you can dance up a storm. Now, if you have never heard Lynn Beal's big band, you are in for a treat. Here's what I want us to do. Let me tell you what she's done. She's so generous. All she said was, hey, just feed my guys, all right? Just feed my band. But you can do a $5 donation to the National Chooses Peace Fund, right, at the door. So that's what it's a fundraiser for National Chooses Peace. It does take a little upfront money to get that festival going. We want to fill this place up. So I'd love to see every one of us out, and I'd love to see us bring a couple of people. This is the kind of thing where, I don't know if you grew up in an evangelical church like I did, but they were constantly telling us to invite your friends to church. And it kind of wore me out just a little bit. Well, this is not inviting your friends to church. This is inviting your friends to dance. It's a whole different thing. You get to BYOB, okay? I mean, it's not really church, okay? So January 30th, it's a Tuesday night. Plan to come on out. It's great music. You're really, really going to enjoy it. Let's see here. Lunch Bunch has been started up since last week. They're still looking at Andrew Harvey's The Hope. Wednesdays at 11:30 if you've got some time during the day. And then Wednesday night at 7 o'clock, we started just last week with Winter Feast for the Soul. And man, it felt like a spirit bath. I got to tell you, those of us who were here, it felt absolutely cleansing and transformative. So please come out and join us Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock and join us for Winter Feast for the Soul. One last announcement before B takes over here. This afternoon, Nashville, we have a special event going on at the Church of Scientology on 8th Avenue South. There's going to be all kinds of churches, Baptist churches, Church of Christ, Unity churches, United Methodist churches, coming together for a multi-faith celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King this afternoon at 3 o'clock. If you can make it, I think it would be a fantastic way to honor his spirit and the way it still lives and it affects us today. B?
Thank you. Good morning. Would the other prayer chaplains please stand? Know that the prayer chaplains are here to pray with you. There will be a prayer chaplain in the prayer room after the service if someone would like to have prayer at that time. Thank you. As this spiritual community moves fully into 2018, our focused attention is leaving a legacy of love. Our sacred readings this month focus on our 5 unity principles and our personal willingness not only to understand them, but also to live them. The affirmation, I believe we were born to love. Say it with me with conviction. I believe we were born to love. I am told that if I love God with all my heart, with all my soul, and with all my mind, I will then be able to love my neighbor as myself. Am I willing to understand what that statement really means? And after I understand, am I willing to step into the transformation that kind of loving brings? Loving God with all my heart means finding in the one presence and one power a feeling so profound that it fills up my heart to overflowing. Loving God with all my soul means finding in the one presence and one power a meaning for my life so rich and so deep that it fills up all the aching corners of my soul. Loving God with all my mind means finding in the one presence and one power the insight and the wisdom to guide the dreams of my heart and soul into expression. I can only imagine that when I have been transformed by experiencing that kind of loving with all my heart, with all my soul, and with all my mind, then I will have created the foundation for truly loving myself. Then, and only then, can I begin the process of loving my neighbor. I believe we were born to love.
So I just ask that you settle into your seats. And as you begin breathing, affirming, I believe we were born to love. And as you hear that statement, begin to drop those 18 inches to your heart space. And what does that statement, those words, feel like to you? I believe we were born to love. I believe I have faith in the fact that I was put here on this planet to love. And so then I began to experience love. And loving God with all my heart, I experienced that one presence and one power within my heart. And I allow that one presence and that one power to fill my heart to overflowing. And so as I put my attention on my heart, I allow Spirit to do the work in the silence. In the silence. I believe that we were born to love. And knowing that there is only one presence and one power, that presence and power is love. And I am here to be an expression of that love. There is one.
All
there is just one Stephanie Urbina Jones.
Hello.
Whoa. Judy said, Denise said, that I could say a few words. And I want to tell you that I love you. I want to tell you that I missed you. And I want to tell you that all of you, each one of you that has known me, has been a seed in the bloom of my heart and my life. That it was here just a few years ago that I was farming. People were telling me what was possible. I knew I had this gift, I knew I had this talent, but I was just so filled with so much darkness and hopelessness that I had grown up in from so long ago. But I got tools here. I got prayed over and believed in. People saw me until I could see myself. And I just want to acknowledge you all that this congregation, that this holy church was such a big part of me remembering that I was born to love. I truly believe, you guys, that we are in this moment, the most exciting time. The most exciting time, thousands of years. We are in the rebirth of humanity. The teachers, the speakers, the knowers, the seers who have come, ancient ones, elders for generations before, talked about this moment in time. Martin Luther King was a light. Denise Jurgen is a light. For me, it helps to remember this is the most exciting time on the planet, and we are being prepared to serve in our own way, whether it's to say hello in Walmart, or just give somebody a hug, or look them in the eye when they're in the dark moment of their soul. I believe this is the moment when we activate our hearts in small and large ways to be who we were born to be. I believe we were born to love. Woo! Come on, y'all. Clap along. And listen up. Have you ever wondered what you are doing here? Well, the truth is there's a simple explanation. It's written in the starry sky above.
Stephanie, I still think you and I need to go out on the road together someday and preach to the masses. We've actually talked about that, believe it or not, at some points in time. I don't have, yeah, there's a clicker down there. I believe I need a clicker. So, how do those words resonate in your heart? I believe we were born to love.
Yes, true.
So where's the disconnect? Because I know that sometimes that's difficult, is it not? Depending on who or what it is. But if we truly believe that there's one presence and one power, which we focused on last week, and then we believe we are the divine expression of that one presence and one power, and that is love, then we are love. That's all we are. So where'd the other skanky parts come from? That's our work. And Stephanie had no idea what I was going to be saying, but it is now is the time. When you begin to look out there at all and you see some of what rips through the news, or Facebook, or anything else, it's like there is no greater time than right now for us to be getting this. To know that we're loved, and that's all we're here to do. No matter how you decide to do it, that's all there is. So if you believe there is one presence and one power, and I'm not asking for a yes or a no from you, but I'm also telling you that when you use these 5 simple, elementary unity principles every day, all day long, it changes your world. Because no matter what's going on, if I believe there is only one presence and one power, then I can't be a victim. Then I can't say those people out there. There's only one. You ever heard Neil Donald Walsh say there's only one of us here? It's true. We're all connected. There's only one. And so the separation is inside of our hearts. Does that make sense? And so that one presence and that one power that we say we believe in, right? We're an expression of that when we choose to be. There's the problem. We fight between our heads and our hearts. And again, in the Western culture, we celebrate the head more than the heart. We do, all day long. Even look at Nashville, at all the higher learning institutions, and hear me, I have gone through probably over half of them myself, and have degrees out the yin-yang from them all. But we celebrate that, and we don't necessarily celebrate people that come from the heart space. There's a difference. There's a difference in the energy with someone that's coming from their head only and somebody's coming from their hearts, and those of us who've been working for almost 30 years trying to meld the two. And it's not the easiest task, because here's what's going on inside of you. And so I want you to think about today, as we do our lesson today, how do you make decisions about moving forward? Is it all about your head? Is it all that stuff you put out on the spreadsheet? Or do you feel it? And you know? And there's the difference. And some people are blessed to be able to do both and some people are on one side and some people are on the other side. Hence, why relationships and organizations struggle. Because someone will say, well, it needs to be like this. because they can see it on a piece of paper and the numbers all line up, and your heart is going, Deb and Judy and I were at the conscious conversation around General Hospital on Thursday night. And I was so excited finally in the evening because there was a lot of figures and numbers and percentages up there, and I was going, wah, wah. When the president of the board of General Hospital got up there and she said, it's all pretty simple. Do you believe that everybody deserves health care or not? It doesn't have anything to do with this numbers. Because if we as a city believe everybody deserves health care, then we'll figure out this other part. Does that make sense? Everything boils down to a heart situation. Am I willing to wrap my heart around this or not? Because when I start wrapping my heart around it, sometimes it feels funny. Especially if it's not the way I've done business in the past. How many of you ever had to learn to swim and somebody said, if you'll quit struggling, you will float? I went, yeah, right. Is that not an amazing universal principle for us for most everything that goes on in our world? When we give up the struggle. I was so excited that Stephanie shared some of her heart because I remember her struggle. I remember when she was coming in here on Sunday morning and taking Wednesday night classes and going, I don't know how to, and I was like, you're all up here. Come down here with me. But when we're all up here and that's our method and we use it all the time and we believe that we've got the answers somewhere up here and if I just dig far enough, I'll find them. It's hard sometimes to be trusting of this space that we call our heart space. So this man has made a lot of shifts and changes in our world just because he was willing to go right here and go, you know, what's going on out there doesn't make any sense. I'm not sure 100% how to change all this, but I'm willing to talk and share and attempt to get people to listen to something different. Is that not what it means to be a force for good? But sometimes we're scared. We talked about that in Lunch Bunch on Wednesday. Sometimes I know I'm supposed to speak up about something, but oh, there's somebody sitting here that's not going to like what I have to say. And sometimes there are some people that don't really get it, and it's okay. Does that make sense? Because the more they hear it, the more they begin to get it without even realizing they're getting it. Does that make sense? I've been with my mother for 60 years. And I can't tell you that she is a lunatic because she is very far from that. But every once in a great while, some of what I've shared with her over the last 30 plus years comes rolling out of her mouth and I go, ooh, yay. If we say it enough, if we're brave enough to share the truth, but there's the deal. I've had people over the years say, well, I can't bring that person to this church, or they can't hear this because they won't like it. Probably won't. But what do we believe people need in this moment? It's time. It's time to get rid of separation and to share universal truths that are not really, they don't have to be scary. That one about when you give up the struggle, you begin to float, that's an easy thing to start with. And Anybody know anybody that are friends with yours that are struggling about stuff? Just share that over coffee. Because eventually they're going to ask you some more questions. Eventually people open the door, scooch just a little bit, and you can say one other thing. Don't pontificate. Bea and I were talking about a gentleman that's a friend of ours that gets on the One Nashville page sometimes and does all this new thought pontification. And I'm like, oh, please. They don't have a clue what you're talking about. And all they're doing is turning all that off. Does that make sense? It's not for us to preach a sermon, it's to live your life. And share a little tidbit every once in a great while when they ask. That's important also. Sometimes, even those in New Thought believe that it is our responsibility to go in and change somebody. It ain't. Their path may be perfect for them. Can you hear that? Their path may be perfect for them. It may work exactly 100% the way it needs to work for them. And if they were over here in ours, they would be lost. Does that make sense? He left a legacy of love. By being brave enough to speak, and people went, oh, I'm hearing that. I'm beginning to understand that there's a different way. You know, when I begin to think about what it was like when I was a little girl and how things were separate, I'm like, that makes no sense to me. Why did that happen? Because at some point in time, people believed that that was what was supposed to happen. Some of the conversation on Thursday night was about Hubbard Hospital, and I totally forgot that. That had fallen out of my head. Until I realized that when my parents moved to Brentwood and we went down to Edmondson Pike, Providence was all white people. And my mother would say, don't go over there. Don't go over there. What's going to happen to me if I go over there? But I've had people, friends of mine, and one or two people from this congregation that'll say, I won't go over to TSU, to Enoch's church, because I don't know what might happen to me if I go over there. I'm like, what might happen to you if you go over there? You're going to eat a lot of good food. It's like, what are we afraid of? I've had people go, oh, you're helping doing a service this afternoon at the Scientology church? Ooh, aren't you scared? Scared of what? Do I believe that my beliefs are strong enough for me that I don't have to be afraid of other people? There's the deal. And if I don't believe that, yeah, I better stay home. I better go in my bedroom and lock the door and never come out. Do I believe that the Church of Scientology is going to wrap me up and scooch me over in a little hole somewhere and never let me out? No. This will be the 5th time I've been in their church building. And they've not taken me yet. They probably wouldn't want me. They wouldn't know what to do with me. I don't necessarily always behave. Do you believe what you say you believe, or do you not? Do you think people can get you, hurt you, harm you? And I can't answer those questions for you. You have to answer them for yourselves. But what I can tell you is, Deb and I were having this philosophical conversation at the river, and Judy and I had it some more yesterday. What is the difference in imagination and vision, and what is all that about? And hear me, this church, over the years that I have been the minister, we have struggled in that process because people are like, when are we going to do something? Imagination is a power. It is one of your 12 powers. We lit an imagination candle on Christmas Eve. It is focused right here. It's input from Holy Spirit. The vision happens once you have the imagination to create the vision, and then the vision will pull you forward. Does that make sense? But if you try to create a vision without the imagination, all it is a bunch of statistics on a piece of paper, which we've done many times here. Ooh, I can't even tell you how many times we've done it. We've thrown paper up on the wall and stuck a lot of pretty colors up on it, and it's looked lovely. But if it was not truly the imagination that came from the group, hence why we've had some conflict about our land even. And we invited everybody to a Love Your Land event, and some people said, I'm not coming because you won't listen to me. Wow. We weren't listening to you or us, we were listening to the land. But then some of you are going, well, that's weird. Did the land talk to you? Yes, it did. Do you understand that piece? There is one presence and one power, and the land is a part of that. Again, we can sit up in here and be high and holy and go, there's one presence and one power in my life and in all the universe, and not have a clue what that means. It just sounds pretty. People think, oh, aren't you smart? Do you use it? And do you know that that one presence and power lives inside of you, and it's called love? And it connects everybody and everything on the earth. And once you connect to that and you get an imagination, an image of something in your mind, you can create a vision for your life, for an organization, for all of us, and then you are pulled by that vision. It's not hard. I've watched it. When it becomes hard, is we need to go back to step one. Go back to the imagination. You see what Steve Jobs says? If you are working on something exciting that you really care about, you don't have to be pushed. The vision pulls you. Isn't that right, Stephanie? When it's from your heart, it will pull you. When it's from the statistics on a piece of paper, I'm sorry, but it ain't going to pull you. Those will come later when you have to deal with your accountant and prove to them that it's okay what you're doing. That's what I used to do on Sunday afternoons with Ken Goins, because he was our accountant. Is sit with him and help him really see how the numbers added up to what our vision was. And that wasn't always an easy conversation. It's not. Those are two separate worlds. Charlotte's grinning. Ken's been in here a lot lately. And do you know that Judy and I both got emails from Ken Goins recently? We have no idea how that happened. At all. Emails from God, I guess. I have no idea. Just came through and I was like, oh, it do. Some of you may not have created an individual vision. My job is to communicate the vision of Legacy of Love here, and then to assist all of our ministries to work on what that looks like for their individual ministries. Does that make sense? But is your vision big enough? Some of you may have read my Denise's Daring Daydreams, and Judy and I, several years ago, I can't even remember how many years ago, went to Los Angeles and went through the process with Mary Morrissey about dream building and how to create a vision for your life. And the two things that I remember so vividly is, if you know how to create it, it's not big enough. That's the first one. If you can lay it out on a spreadsheet and show everybody else how to create it because you know exactly what you're supposed to do, then it ain't big enough. You know why that is? Because you're not giving Holy Spirit any wiggle room. You're saying, I got this, I don't need you, thank you very much, bye. You got too much of a plan. Hence why I am stepping this year with leadership back into organic community. That's going to feel wonky for people who like to plan all the time. Ask Cynthia what it felt like the first time Larry Wynn told her to run an executive board meeting with no agenda. You remember that? It's like, do you believe God's in charge, or do you think you are? There's the deal. What do I believe? Who's in charge? Or do I have to always be in charge? The other one is even a bigger question. If it doesn't make the world a better place for others, we're talking about for me. Does my vision make the world a better place for others? Because if it doesn't, it's not big enough. Does that make sense? Stephanie's music makes the world a better place for others. That's why her vision is happening. Because when you just heard that song this morning, you went, oh. Wait till you hear the other. Wait till you get her whole CD and listen to the whole thing. Is what is on my heart to do and be making the world better for other people, or it is just about my pocketbook? That's the bottom line. That's what the woman said the other night about General Hospital in our city. Is it about quality health care for everyone, or is it about the pocketbook? Because if it's about the pocketbook, we'll just close up. Anybody see the video of what happened in, where was that? Baltimore, Maryland? Where they just threw a person from the hospital out on the road and closed the door and went on? Patient dumping. When it's about our pocketbooks, we do bizarre things. When it's about the heart space, everything shifts. So again, begin to ask yourself, is my vision big enough? Do I know how to do it all, or do I need to ask God for help? Is it going to make the world a better place for everybody? Does that make sense? Martin Luther King. He had several quotes that came from a book. Let me see where I put it down. Maybe nope, not The Legacy of Love. Where did I stick that down? That's us. It's called The Strength of Love. Whoops, everything just went off.
I don't know.
Okay. Press that button to power off. We don't want to do that. She's going to bring it back in a moment. But I plucked out 4 quotes I hope we can get back to because I didn't put them on here. She's trying to figure out how to plug us back in.
I don't know what
happened. But the one that specifically was about that I can choose love or I can choose hate. There we go. And I choose love. Love is the only force capable of transforming a what?
Into a friend.
I know all of you are sitting there going on your metaphysical high horses and going, I have no enemies. Do you have people that are separate that you would rather not deal with? Love is the only thing that's going to fix that. Now remember, I always remember Marianne Williamson saying, I can love you, I don't have to do lunch with you. So remember that. It doesn't mean you have to become my best friend and attached at my hip. But it does mean that I'm not sending nasty energy out to you because I don't like you. Does that make sense? Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Who knew that he was a New Thought person? Who knew? Because I believe that when somebody steps up in the way that he stepped up with their personal vision, Holy Spirit takes over. I probably would believe that there had to have been times when he was scared. Totally. But he allowed himself to become a channel and let it flow through. have decided to seek with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. I want you to think about that. Even if you are struggling with politics right now, and I see a lot of nasty things about politicians out there, and I'm like, we have to live what we say we believe. We have to. Who else is going to do it? It's time. The fourth one is a little bit longer. Let me read it to you. When we look at modern man, we have to face the fact that modern man suffers from a kind of poverty of the spirit, which stands in glaring contrast with the scientific and technological abundance. He got that. We've learned to fly the air as birds. We've learned to swim the seas as fish, yet we haven't learned to walk the earth as brothers and sisters. Wow. This man was amazing. Holy Spirit was talking to him all the time. I have no idea what the people that first were hearing that even thought about what he said. Do what? So what is your experience of love? I can't answer that for you. I can answer it for myself, and some days yes, and some days no. Hence why we're doing Winter Feast for the Soul, because you know where this starts? With yourself. If I do not love myself with my heart and my soul and my mind, I could not even begin to love anybody else. Does that make sense? But we're all trying. We're trying hard to love those people out there, but we don't really love us. So, woo, no wonder we are struggling. No wonder. Do I believe this? There's one presence and one power in my life and in all the universe, God, the good, omnipotent, and I am an expression of that one presence and one power, and my essence is what? Love. Huh. Those are the first two unity principles. If you've ever become a unity person or ever joined this church or the other unity church in town or any other unity church, you had to learn these or at least be familiar with them. So I hope you heard what Bee was reading in the sacred reading this morning. Loving God with all my heart means finding in the one presence and the one power a meaning for my life so rich. That's the wrong one, so back up, erase that. Finding in the one presence and one power a feeling so profound that it fills up my heart to overflowing. Fills up my heart to overflowing. When do I need that? When do I need my heart to be filled up to overflowing? All the time. And especially when it's not. How do we get into that one presence and one power and allow our hearts to be filled to overflowing? Linda Wanamaker knows. Uh-huh. That's how we do it. Do you do that every day? Some of you are squirming in your seats. Do you take the time every day to love God with all your heart? To connect to the universal power of love every day? Do you? And only you can answer that question. But if you do not, and you go out in the world and you experience something less than love, then whose fault is it? Mine. And some days I have to go back into, Stephanie and I were talking, we were having conversations through the stalls in the background. And we were saying that sometimes that's the best place to go, to reconnect. Ain't nobody gonna come in there after you, I can promise you that. Sometimes I have to do that. I have to find that quiet place because I'm in the middle of something and I'm feeling less than loving. Anybody felt less than loving in the last week or two? And so you needed to connect to that presence and power that would allow your heart to overflow with love. It's going to the silence. This next picture, I searched long and high for. Loving God with all my soul means that finding in the one presence and power a meaning for my life that is so rich and deep that it fills up all the aching corners of my soul. I'm making a big assumption you know what the aching corners of your soul feel like. But some of us that are avid meditators know that when you get into that place, it feels like you're just floating. Back to the floating picture. When I'm struggling, all I have to do is what? Float. So when I wake up some morning or I'm in the middle of my day and I am struggling, and I affirm I'm not the only one that does that. If I am, all of y'all need to be up here and I need to sit down. But when I'm struggling, it's time for me to pause and breathe. And feel that again. Feel that I am in the center of all that is in that one moment. And that all the meaning of my own personal life is coming flooding in, and all I have to do is be open to receive. Does that not sound good to you? Some of you are looking at me like I have 4 heads and 3 tails. But that sounds just ecstatic. Totally. It's like, whoo. Loving God with all my mind. There's the hard one. Remember the picture in the beginning of your heart and your brain? Hence why a lot of us that teach mindfulness meditation have pictures of rocks like this. I don't know if you've ever wondered why. My training came from John Kabat-Zinn, but it's that when you really begin to look at that, have you ever tried to stack rocks like that? Anybody ever tried to do that? You can get up so high and then all of a sudden, do you realize we do that with our minds and our thoughts? We try to stack them up. And we try to put this wonky one in here in the middle of this and they all start falling down and then you're struggling. Struggling with your mind. What would it mean to love God with all your mind? What would it mean to love universal truths with all of your mind? What would that mean to you? Finding in the one presence and the one power the insight and the wisdom that guide the dreams of my heart and my soul into expression. Do you hear that? So that my mind wraps around my imaginations and assists in creating the vision that pulls me forward. It's not me randomly going out there and going, well, I want this rock. Oh, I don't know how that's going to work. Maybe if I have glue or Velcro, it might work. Does that make sense? So know that the other night, you know, I'm always looking, because I'm always inputting, looking for something else to be involved in. I'm not sure why or how, but I am. And one of the things I have talked to our leadership about is I believe because Unity is an organization, Centers for Spiritual Living is an organization, and the Agape churches are an organization, and they have bonded together to form the Association of Global New Thought, and I believe as a church we should be a part of that. Because they open up training for us in many different ways. It's not a very big fee for the year, and that opens up me with another 4 or 5 people to be able to get into a portal, but we can throw it up here on the screen and everybody can see it. But they have this thing that some of you women might be interested in. They do it on one time a month called the Divine Feminine Peace Spa. people that were explaining what we were getting ready to do were Japanese, so know that there was a little bit of that because this woman was talking in Japanese, and then somebody was translating, and then we were doing something. But it was amazing because there were people on that call from all over the world. And so I'm going to share with you, and then we're going to do it together, not in Japanese, I promise. A mudra. How many of you are familiar with a mudra, what that even means? Well, this is a mudra with your hands and with your body. And these are the words that we're going to say. But I'm going to teach you the hand motions first. First thing you're going to do is you're going to make this, but then you're going to put them together. Does that make sense? And you're going to have it right here. And as you do that, you are going to say, I am here now. I am here now. The next thing you're going to do is raise your hands to receive. And what I want to share with you is go back here and think about somebody doing Tai Chi, because some of you I saw, it's a flow of energy. Does that make sense? So just think about that, because what you're doing with your body is connecting to the energy of all that is. So you're here, and you're going to go, I connect to the one presence and one power, and awaken the divine spark within me. Say that with me. I connect to the one presence and the one power, and awaken the divine spark within me. You're going to make a circle with your hands, and you're going to put it on your head like a halo. Think about your crown chakra. I allow the energy of the divine to flow through my body. I allow the energy of the divine to flow through my body. I am open to receive. I am open to receive. I'm going to do this again and put it here. That's your wisdom center. The wisdom of the universe. So you're open to receive the wisdom of the universe. Does that make sense? That's all one big thing. And then I ask to be loved. I ask to be loved. I share this love with others. Do you see what I did with my hands? They talked to us for about 15 minutes. I was like, okay, pushing this love out to everyone. So recognize that that's what you're doing. Okay? And then back to the beginning. I am at peace. I am at peace. So stand up and let's do this together. And I'm going to get us to do it 2 or 3 times. I would love somebody that wanted to come up here and get a picture of everybody out through there doing this. This is pretty awesome at some point in time. That will. So are we ready? This is going to become a part of Winter Feast for the Souls. We're going to do it every Wednesday night too. So it helps us get centered. Ready? I am here now. I connect to the one presence and one power, and awaken the divine spark within me. I allow the energy of the divine to flow through my body. I am open to receive the wisdom of the universe. I ask to be loved. I share this love with others, and I am at peace. Once more. Doesn't that feel good?
Yeah, yeah.
Can't you feel your whole being vibrating right now? One more time. I am here now. I connect to the one presence and one power, and awaken the divine spark within me. I allow the energy of the divine to flow through my body. I am open to receive the wisdom of the universe. I ask to be loved. I share this love with others, and I am with peace. get it back up there.
Are y'all all juiced up? Well, I want to share with you guys. I know we've had such an amazing experience, but I just want to share, since you talked about the vision, I want to share with you the vision of where this music came from. About 20 years ago, I was on a journey seeking something, and I found myself in the pyramids of Teotihuacan, Mexico, on a power journey of transformation. It took me through the Avenue of the Dead, up to the Temple of the Moon, and finally to the top of the Pyramid of the Sun. And on top of that Pyramid of the Sun, where my heart was wide open, God gave me this song to sing and a vision for my life. I was told that I would be a fiery angel, that I would use my light, my voice, my music would be my medicine, that I would carry out into the world. I kept writing songs, many of them that you know, that I've written with Judy, Mama's Gotta Sing, Chiseling Out My Soul, I Am Home, so many of the songs that you know. And people would ask me over 20 years, where's that album, Stephanie? Where's that album? And I always had a fast answer, which was, I don't have the time or the money. I don't have the time or the money. So I found myself in Teotihuacan, Mexico, on a power journey where I was one of the teachers. And on a lunch break where I was really tired and needed a break, some women gathered around me and they said, once again, Stephanie, why don't you have these songs that you sing in private? Why don't you have this to share with the world? And I said, well, it takes money and it takes time, and I don't have that. And this woman said, well, my Aunt Helen just died on November the 24th. She was a music teacher up in Pennsylvania, and I am giving you the money to go make this record. If you go and record it right away. Now, I had been plowing my fields and planting my seeds and talking and doing my walk, but this was the moment of choice that my heart was activated. So I came back to Nashville with Montezuma's Revenge, got in at 9 o'clock at night, and at 10 o'clock in the morning, we began recording what would become Shaman Heart, the Bittersweet Beautiful Ride. This is the first song. Thank you. I want you to know, too, I'm asking for your prayers as I step into this new year. As I was naming the album, I told my dad, who brought me to Unity, by the way, I was going to be calling it Shaman Heart. And he said, Mija, do not call it Shaman Heart. I love you. You know how open I am. You know how I believe in all of life. I understand. But you can't do that. People will shut you out. And I said, Dad, God spoke to my heart and my spirit. I am now a shamanic minister. I have to carry this medicine through my music in a new way. So this is my mission this year. This is what I'm called to do, to step out all over the world. I've never done it this way. I don't know how to do it. I did my first show in Kansas City and really struggled last week. I want y'all to know, how do I share my journey? The bottom, to the climbing, to the coming back down on my knees, to finding my way. But I know this is what I'm born to do at this moment in time. So I ask for your prayers. If you're not Facebook friends, let's become them. And let's walk this amazing, amazing, amazing journey this year. This is the very first song, you guys, I wrote on the top of the Pyramid of the Sun. Open up your heart. Let the sun shine. I can see you walking with your head on low, like you lost your way, like you lost your hope. Into my eyes, baby, I'll be here, running through the darkness. Just open up your heart, let the sun shine in. I'm gonna love you, love you, love you until the end of it. All this world turns my love for you will learn. So open up your heart and let the sun shine. Y'all sing along. Yeah, open up your heart. Let the sun shine in. Oh, I'm gonna love you, love you, love you until the end of it. Beyond this world that turns, my fire for you will burn. So open up your heart one more time and let the sun shine. One more time, y'all, come on. And open up your heart. Sing along, let the sun shine in. Oh, I'm gonna love you, love you, love you until the end of it. Beyond this world that turns, my fire for you will burn. So open up your heart and let the sun shine in. Yeah, open up your heart and let the sun shine in.
I think there's an album I need to add to my music collection. I'm not sure about you. Ooh, Lord have mercy. It is time now for our sacred walk of abundance. He was moving my stand. I had two things going on in my brain at the same time. I should know not to do that. It's time for our sacred walk of abundance. And I just want to let you know that the song that we will sing coming out of Sacred Walk of Abundance, Building a Legacy of Love, has been changed up just a little bit. So pay attention to the words, and we'll try to lead you along, but we'll learn it fast enough. I think it's the new and improved, Leaving a Legacy of Love. So if you'll take your tithes and offerings and gifts in your hand and say the offering blessing with me. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is.
Good to see you, man.
Usually I'm just talking to myself, you know what I mean?
It works.
I know she does. Being all modest. I agree.
We know that we have been blessed today beyond measure. And we have opened our hearts to love with all of our hearts, and with all of our souls, and with all of our minds. And so we just asked Holy Spirit to direct us in what that would look like, and sound like, and feel like in our own world. Because we know that as we accept the answer to the prayer of, I want to be loved, and we are open to receive, and we share that love with others, it comes back to us, heaped up, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, for that's the law, and so it is.
Do y'all believe peace is the way?
Yeah.
Yes, peace is the way. Now that might just sound like a good thing, but if you really, really believe it and you wake up Tuesday morning thinking it, then join us at 6 o'clock for the National Jesus Peace meeting. How about that? You see what I did there? Stand up, join hands, and sing this song.
I was sleeping perfect.